Just a slight tangent on that.
This is far too much of a tangent. Just a brief interruption.
Can I also say one more thing on this?
But we also need to impose some rules. Like, we can't just have 20-minute tangents over a text.
Come on. That's just refusal to consider the circumstances. I'm not going to entertain that, Joe.
This conversation is not a good one, I think. Do we argue much?
No, we keep them inside.
Let it fester.
See, I thought this was a ridiculous text until I read the top three, and then I thought, you know what? I'd actually debate that with you. It is an interesting... Sorry, it's not an interesting question, but...
Let's make that clear.
I love the sound of a snooker referee counting up the score.
Now you're welcome along. A Slight Tangent is here with you live. It has just gone 3 minutes past 8 on this Tuesday evening. We're all very excited. Michael McCarthy back here in studio. Hello.
How are you, Joe? Bad start.
Not your best start. Arthur O'D.
Hey, Joe.
Hello, Arthur. Very good, Arthur. And Will O'Callaghan. Hello to you.
Hi, Joe. Not to give too much away, but I think an idea for a major topic came up, about 8 milliseconds before the red light came on there.
Did it?
Yeah, you missed it.
What was it?
Never mind, we can bring it up while we chat.
Okay.
That's the whole idea.
Interesting. Is that what you said to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
You
mention
don't
in
wanna
the
go
ad
there.
break.
I don't want to know.
You don't want to know. You don't want to go there.
Why?
I guarantee it.
It'll be a tangent on it.
Well, I say it to you. We had a text in asking you to expand on your football career. We want to.
Oh, no.
No, you don't want to do that, no.
I know.
Did you say something about it one of the nights? I wasn't in, I don't think.
You weren't.
Yeah, we were talking about the GAA. What's it called? I just can't remember.
Go games.
Yes.
Yes.
So hold on, is this your Gaelic football or your association football career?
Soccer came up. Played both, of course, but
Okay.
it was soccer. And I made the mistake of
Of course, Will.
saying I had played to a reasonably good level. And of course, that was thrown right back in my face by Nathan Murphy. It's
A
like
lot of legitimate texts.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I didn't mean it in even a humble brag way. It was just like I was given the context of my experience of, there are lads who end up going on the subs bench and don't get on. I didn't quite have that experience. So it was kind of a natural enough thing. We weren't talking about Man City, and then I brought it in.
I mean, he did 14 years Gillingham man and boy. It was a good career. It wasn't a great career.
How far up the Leinster Senior League did you play, Joe?
Well, I'd have to check that, League of Ireland under 21 would trump that, I think.
Well, you played in the old A division, did you?
League of Ireland under 21.
Yeah.
What's the old A division?
That was kind of where the under 21s were. I presume in your day it was probably the under 21 division then.
Yeah.
You've been
Not
sucked
yet
into
fought.
this, Joe.
Not yet
I don't want
fought.
to get into it, really.
Let's pry a little bit here.
No.
Who did you play for in the under 21 division?
I can't win this. The Guards had a team. Even
Okay.
you didn't have to be a guard to play, but it was great because you get to go and play at all the League of Ireland grounds against League of Ireland teams.
Yeah. Okay, again, indulge me here.
No.
How did you end up playing for the Garda team then?
Trial.
Okay.
We move on.
No, but did you have a mate who got you involved, or how did this happen?
No, they were in the area. Westminstown wasn't a million miles away from Selbridge.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so
Still isn't.
someone said they're having trials. They're in the League of Ireland under 21s. Went along. Things progressed.
I think that probably trumps wherever you were.
How do the Guards have a team in an under 21 league?
Don't really know what the deal is.
Yeah.
I can understand not having to be a guard to play with them, but surely there must be some connection.
There was no guard on the team.
Obviously, it's under 21s.
Well, that's true, but there wasn't even like I'm down
Trainee
in Templemore.
Yeah.
Play kind of a thing. Yeah, I don't know really, because we were the only odd kind of team in there.
Everyone else was like Shamrock Rovers.
St. Pat's,
Yeah,
Longford,
yeah.
all these teams. So I don't know.
Play against anyone? Of note?
Yeah, but I'd struggle to remember names now.
They were that noteworthy.
If they're probably
Just
going on, though, if they're going on to a higher
check.
level, they're probably not playing that level at an age similar to your age, so they're going to be...
Maybe. Yeah, I was doing it at 18, 19.
All right.
This gets better all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, Joe, it's okay to be proud of your achievements.
Not anymore. It's not being mentioned again. And Arthur's instinct was spot on there. First message in. And this could, let's tangent away. I've kind of disrupted what I'm about to read out just now. But anyway, hello all. I noticed when listening to the last A Slight Tangent, which I genuinely look forward to every week, that the tangents aren't so much tangents as topics. Mick at one stage even said not to go off on a tangent and proceeded to not go with his thought. And I thought to myself, Mick, isn't that the whole point of this segment? Get lost in the conversation. Started by an initial topic rather than reading a string of emails. He says while writing an email he hopes is read. Anyway, I just thought it was worth the mention. I still enjoyed the segment a lot. All the best, Connor in Waterford.
We've lost our roots.
It's a very, very astute observation, I would say. From Conor,
More
isn't it?
topics. I remember that actually. I don't know what I was talking about, but I remember thinking I'm straying here. And it was like as if I had to pull myself back. Yeah, so maybe straying should be allowed. I think we have to be careful though, because I do think rambling for 10 minutes about something that's off the stream of consciousness off the top of your head isn't exactly great radio. So
That was where I started coming from increasingly, that we have to have some discipline.
well, that's in the sting. We can't just go off on a tangent for 10 minutes off a
Right.
text.
Yeah. Because like somebody just gave it the name, A Slight Tangent. Was it a listener?
Yeah, I think we had said it a good few times over the course of an episode.
That's right.
A slight tangent on that, a slight tangent on this, a slight tangent on that.
That was how it was born. So the idea, I suppose, Conor, wasn't let's have a slot where we go off on tangents. But there probably is something to be said. Like last week, we hadn't been on in a while, so there were just a lot of great emails we wanted to get to. We didn't get to half of them, so it became a bit like email topic. Go, go, go.
Yeah. I have a feeling this week's going to be a bit more tangenty.
Yeah, we're a bit lighter this weekend, perhaps.
Number-wise, very appreciative, good emails. A lot of them were just sort of telling us kind of like, love the show. It's like, give us a topic, give us something to chew on.
Well, here's one can I throw at you. I was listening to a little-known production called The Hurling Pod over the weekend, presented by one Will O'Callaghan.
I hope you were watching it live.
I was. I sent in a question, which you ignored, remember?
This is the only question Will's ever ignored.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Most got on last week.
I was looking at some of the questions you were getting to, and I was saying, what?
My question is so much better.
Well, it was.
What was your question, Joe? I didn't see it because the Twitter didn't go through to the streaming software we use.
Okay.
So you're just getting YouTube.
Somebody
YouTube
was
and Facebook, yeah.
talking about Cork and the reliance on
Patrick Horgan.
and drawing a parallel with TJ, and then Skehill brought up, well, look, it's not dissimilar to us and Joe and TJ Kilkenny, and then I put in, ask Skehill, would he take TJ over Joe? And I thought, wow, that would have been interesting.
He's on the same management team as Canning at the moment, so I presume from that point of view he has to probably favour Canning anyway.
What if you pushed him?
Canning is coming to our live road show in a couple of months' time.
Oh, nice.
So I'm looking forward. We're going to call it, I think, the roast of James Skehill. The idea being we can get some genuine stories from Canning about Skehill.
Canning's a very compelling speaker.
He's great.
Great.
He's very, very interesting.
Really interesting guy.
Yeah. Intense.
Do you know what's interesting about that question? If you'd asked me that 5 years ago, now James Skehill obviously is better qualified to answer, but also would be way more biased. If you'd asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have had Joe Canning without even blinking. And Joe hasn't gone down in my estimation in that time, but actually TJ's latter career, his late style Arthur, has just been unbelievable. Like he's getting better every year. It's funny, there was a moment in the round robin last year where he had a bad game against someone, and there was this like, he just could be finished. The legs could be gone. The legs could be, and he ended up nearly being hurler of the year.
Me and Skehill talked about his legs gone on air.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah.
I think even if 5 years ago, maybe not quite 5, but not far off it, if you had said TJ or Henry, who's the best of all time in Kilkenny, certainly, most
Again, not a
people
blink.
would have said, "What are you why would you even ask that question?" But now it's a live conversation.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and in some ways he came along too late for some of those great teams, but it's not because of him, you know. But watching him in person Kilkenny won against Clare in the semi-final so easily last year that there was like in the second half I was almost able to just enjoy it for what it was. But that man's ability to pull a ball out of the sky, and I've seen it many times over the years, I just think it's unparalleled.
Yeah. Arthur, who's your favourite hurler? Who's the best hurler you've ever seen?
Oh,
As
in person?
As the New York Times hurling correspondent.
In person? I don't know. It depends. I suppose it depends. We were talking about last week, like Tony Kelly's otherworldly. What other way would you judge it? I don't know. Seeing Canning in the flesh was crazy as well. When you're seeing him and you're close to him, he's unbelievable, and just the size of the man and just like his fucking power. I don't know. I've like snapshots. I remember a double header at some stage in Thurles with Waterford and seeing John Milan. We were in his corner. He was unbelievable and scored like it. Now it's kind of that thing where it's like that point Seamus Flanagan and Galan score for fun. He did that right in front of us then, and you're like, oh my god. It was just because this was, I'd say, mid 2000s. And it was just like, it looked unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that, especially from that angle. We were right behind him. But I don't know. I don't like. They're all common enough answers, I suppose.
That's okay.
But they were there. And that day I was at for the 2016 All Ireland final with Tip and Kilkenny. And wasn't it? Did Pádraig Mar catch that ball over Walter Welsh and then like pointed it from nearly, it wasn't obviously his own like 45, but in my mind that's where he was. He wasn't, but he caught a ball over Welsh and like then Tip were hammering them, and it was just one of the most remarkable things I'd ever seen. It was just like one of those automatic, kind of like what Hayes can do, and then just catch and just straight motion over the bar. It was crazy.
Such a complicated question. I'm sorry, I will stop talking now, but it is funny because I'm there thinking all the way through Archer's answer, and I'm like, there's no one answer to that. Like, I've seen Kelly, for me, has done things I've never seen any other hurler do. When he's on song, I don't think there's anybody that's ever been like him. But it's not this, but Paddy Mark came into my head for 3 different matches when I started thinking about games I was at. You know, it's a completely different reason, it's a completely different type of hurling, but an unbelievable player as well. And then you have Canning and so on. It's such a complicated question, isn't it? Like, who's the best in a fluid team sport? Like,
it's a stupid question, really.
Brilliant though.
Yeah,
That's great.
So there you go, Connor. That was a hell of a tangent for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hurling Pod was on, and Scale and Paul Murphy were doing their thing, and you played them Davy Fitzgerald's interview after Waterford's win over Tipperary at the weekend. And I guess the gist of Davy was, you know, the abuse we're getting is disgusting, the abuse I'm getting is disgusting, people need to get behind us a bit more, those lads are great lads, they train so hard, etc. We're getting a rotten deal from everybody. It's a touch harsh to paraphrase it as that, but that was the kind of gist. And I was just very struck listening. You went to Scale and Murphy afterwards for their thoughts, and they were just, we're not buying any of that. That is just Davy playing the poor mouth. We've seen this routine before. I'm looking for some kind of coherence in his plan. I'm looking for things he's saying which have a bit of logic to them. None of it. And they completely demolished him and basically said neither of them would have him around next year. And then when Tommy Welch was on last night on the show, I played him that segment with Davy and the two boys, and Tommy was far less willing to kind of say, oh, you know, I have a job, you know, and he kind of said, look, if they gave him a 2-year deal, is that even the right terminology for a GA manager? I don't know, but a 2-year deal, then they owe it to him, not least on the back of beating Tipperary, to see how year 2 goes. But I did find myself in that moment even just asking the question, like, should Davy go? I felt very queasy asking that about a GA manager. Now, if it was about a Premier League manager or in a multitude of sports, it wouldn't even cross my mind as unfair. But there was just something. I'm not saying every GA manager, if they stink the joint out, should just automatically, if they were given 3 years, get their 3 years. But just in the discourse and how we talk about them, I just thought, oh God, I didn't feel right about it. Not sure if it is right.
Is that because of a closeness to it, Joe, or is it because, why do you feel differently to, say, if you were talking about Pochettino, if he's a bad start, Chelsea?
I don't know, I guess because, like, Pochettino's getting 10 million a year and none of his family are listening, he's not listening. It's like big time business, whereas GA is none of those things. And so, you know, I'm not talking about anyone in particular here, by the way. I couldn't stress that enough. But whilst there are, you know, you hear rumours about everybody about payments and all sorts going on, in the main, and like on the surface, in so much as we talk about any manager, it's volunteerism. And so you're calling for a volunteer to be sacked in humiliating fashion. So it just didn't sit great with me.
It's a humiliating fashion, though, Joe, if Waterford County Board sit down and look at the year that's just gone by, and they ask maybe some of the questions that some of their own supporters are asking about why it was only when the pressure was off that the team seemed to hurl with a sense of freedom against Tipperary at the weekend just gone by, why Desi Hutchinson has been playing in such a withdrawn role when he's one of the best corner forwards in the country.
I think they're entitled to do all of that. And like I said, I don't think if someone's given a 3-year gig and they're stinking the joint out, they should get the 3 years. They should absolutely be told in a review, in the privacy of a county board meeting, here are the reasons why you're not continuing, we're not happy with your performance. Absolutely 100%. But I don't know, just as a on the air talking about should so and so be sacked, it didn't sit great with me, I have to say. I don't want to get in the habit of GA managers, should he get the sack?
Yeah, it's only going to happen more and more though, and the problem is you have to look at it, take money out of the equation, but as much as managers become I'm struggling to find the right word here now, because I mean industry, but I don't mean in the payment sense. I mean in the, like, there's a merry-go-round.
Davy's on the merry-go-round.
Yes, and he absolutely, you know, and like Liam Cahill has gone from Waterford to Tip, and, you know, Micheál Donoghue's, you know, in Dublin now, having been in Galway, and so on. And as long, the more and more that happens, I think the more we're just going to have discussions and treat managers almost as this sort of, you know, slightly above the, you know, so like last year.
I think you're right. Like, I would find it, I suspect, easier to have that conversation about a Davy Fitz who is popping around, as opposed to, say, I don't know, an example jumped to mind, James Horan, who's very much of Mayo and doing it for Mayo. That would seem just...
That's and I think that's exactly it. Yeah, you know, so like I just think that in some ways I just feel like we have to allow discourse to be what it is and not be this personal thing. And, you know, we're talking about a sport here, we're talking about, and I agree with you, there's a humiliation factor to it, but at the same time, I still, like, it is just a game, and it isn't a livelihood, or at least it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And if somebody isn't the person for the job, I think saying that and moving on to the next person, like, it shouldn't be the end of the world. I would share the queasiness. I don't like the idea of somebody hearing it, but at the same time, if we're doing our jobs, or the pundits are doing their jobs, and they want to properly answer a question of what they think. Last year was a very awkward situation, right? I think Davy, in some ways, it's funny with Davy because he obviously takes these things so personally, and if you did hear that audio, he was like, you could say, I don't think he was putting it on. He might have been deflecting, but he was genuinely angry. Now, whether he's worked himself into that state, you know, legitimately or not, I think is an open question. But funnily enough, he's also someone that people would treat as if he has a thick skin, because he's been around the block, because he's been always criticised. You can kind of, it's free rein on Davy. Last year, Colin Bonner had a disastrous year in his first year in Tip. They wanted Liam Cahill in that job. He didn't leave Waterford. They had a short time to make a decision. They put Colin Bonner in, a legend who won All-Irelands with the county, and it seemed like his time as a manager was past. He'd been Wexford manager, he'd been Carlow manager, and it was a strange one for him to finally get the Tip job at that point. He gets the job. It's a disaster. Tip don't get out of the group. It's their worst probably championship performance of all time, but they were also in a real transition.
Yeah.
He gets sacked after 1 year. Liam Cahill comes in, and it was a 3-year deal. But where do you stand in that? Because all of the coverage I remember thinking was like, a lot of people were like, this is wrong. This shouldn't have happened to someone like Colin Bonner. But very few people argued on the merits that it wasn't the right decision. You know, so I would just almost, I'm not even really making a point any different than your show. I'm just saying, like, that's I think an example of how tough that can be. Because the merits were clearly, it was time for Cahill and Bevins to come in and that team to take Tip on to the next level. But it was really unfair on a county legend who didn't get a fair crack at it.
I thought Skelly and Murphy were brilliant, by the way. Like, it was box office. I would tell people to go and listen to the Hurling pod. It was amazing how strong they were on it. And then I thought Tommy was a more where the majority of GA pundits would want to be when it comes to calling for someone to lose their job.
Yeah, I think, look, again, it's not just going to work with them every week, but the two guys don't hold back. If they have an opinion on something, they will let rip on it. And bear in mind as well, and I don't think he played this bit of the audio to Tommy last night, but Davy very clearly took a shot at Brian Lohan as well towards the end of the interview by saying that there are some managers who've been around for 4 years and haven't won anything.
Yeah.
And I'm being compared to them. There is only one manager right now in intercounty hurling who's been in position for 4 years, so that was definitely a shot back at his own county and at Brian Lohan, which to me felt a little bit cheap.
Where are you, Arthur, on how we should talk about GA managers? And I totally don't mean criticism of everything that they're doing wrong, but that final point of, should he sack?
It's interesting.
Should the Sunday game be going? Should X get?
We see that's precisely what remember, like that 2018 interview Declan McBennett did with Gaelic Life after he came in as head of sport, and specifically said there should be no personal attacks. And I suppose that would probably fall under something to that degree. Saying someone would be sacked is probably a reason why you wouldn't see it there anymore.
It's
whereas
a grey area.
Yeah, you are saying someone isn't, like, it depends on where you go about it. Look, if someone's, like, I felt some of the times with either Rochford or Horn when they were gone, it was like after another All-Ireland final defeat, you're like, well, they're still operating at an extremely high level, but you'd understand why people might think change is needed, just a fine tweaking or something like that. But I don't think there's much to be gained in saying, in getting too angry about that. Like, it's it just doesn't. As you're saying, I think the knock-on effects are too severe on a personal level that they will hear it. Their family will hear it. It will be brought to their attention. But at the same time, you can't be. You're putting yourself into the public eye also. No more so than Davy.
Well, yes.
So I mean, that's always the great hypocrisy there. So it's tough to kind of. It's a very fine line. I don't know, but you have to be critical of what they're doing. But why not? If effectively you could be saying at the same time, oh, they're doing X, Y, and Z bad, but you can't go and say a thing that they probably shouldn't be in that job.
The
it's
obvious logical conclusion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think honesty should be the best policy, really, as tough and all as queasy as it might make you. I mean, again, even agreeing with the idea that calling for a manager to be sacked is a personal attack, in inverted commas, I disagree with that. It depends what way you do it. It can be done in a personal attack way, and we've seen that over the years, let's face it, but it doesn't have to be. I think these things, should be on their merits. And again, it's not somebody's job or livelihood. It is something that they are doing ostensibly for fun or for volunteerism or whatever, and they should be treated with respect for it, of course. But this idea that somebody's managerial career, what does that mean even as such? Do you know what I mean? It's not a career. It's something that they're doing to try and get the most out of a group of players. I've completely forgotten his name. What was the Donegal manager this year who left after the league? Yeah, so he stepped down after the league because it wasn't going well. He'd lost the support of his county, really, and the fans and stuff. And I just thought, there was no ego there. There was no arguing. It was just right, okay, this hasn't worked out, sorry, and they brought in somebody else, and I always feel that should be the way to do it. I feel that ego gets involved too much in these things, and that can be, taking a pundit talking about the job you're doing as a personal attack, I think feeds that. It's because of ego sometimes, Yeah,
Scal doesn't need me to defend him here, but he's also walked the walk on this, considering that he was one of the players in the Galway panel who voted for Anthony Cunningham, who had brought Galway so close to winning an All-Ireland, to replace him with Micheál Donoghue. And the next year, Micheál wins the All-Ireland with Galway. As Mick already mentioned, I'm sure there were plenty of Tipperary fans who really felt sympathy for Colin Bonner, because Colin Bonner felt that he was going in for at least a 2-year term, and he's spoken about the fact that he tried players out trying to prepare for the season 2023. But I don't think too many Tipperary fans, if you went back to them right now, would say that the county board made the wrong decision by putting Liam Callan in place.
So Scales a hatchet man is what you're telling me?
No, I'm not saying he's a hatchet man.
I'm joking.
To be fair to the specific example here, though, I think the lads, fair play to them for saying what they think, but I do think it's a legitimate position to be on the fence about Davy Fitzgerald after 1 year at Waterford, which, they lost Tyg de Burke in the first match. They didn't play well. Davy will argue that it was circumstantial in certain games and all. I would say they weren't at the races, but then they went out and bet tip in the last game. I think it's okay to be on the fence about it.
Some of the arguments were mad.
Some of Davy's arguments.
We did 12 wides to Clare's 4 in the first half of that game. What does that mean?
Hitting wides from 100 yards all the time.
The rubbish wides against Limerick as well.
That's not good.
The wides were terrible in that match.
Where I don't put any truck though in his the abuse I'm getting is disgusting stuff. I just think he's obviously going looking for it, because in the main it's not disgusting. There's a degree of trying to garner sympathy there.
I think a lot of I was watching a fair bit of the commentary over the last 2 weeks from some of the Waterford legends who were talking particularly about their predicament after they were knocked out of the championship. I don't think any of it was personal. I think they were looking at Davy's record since 2019 with the teams that he's been involved in. I think they were looking at what their expectation was with a team who won the league last year, and there was that hope that Davy was maybe going to bring them on the next level this year, which hasn't happened. I think it's perfectly okay to have that conversation without it feeling disgusting. Now, I don't know whether he got any, say, personal message or whatever else, but the commentary that I saw in the general discourse, I don't think any of it went beyond the pale.
Let's take a very quick break. A slight tangent continues in a moment with myself and Mick and Arthur and Will.
Off the ball on News Talk.
You're welcome back. Sorry. A slight tangent is here. Myself, Mick, Arthur, Will.
Does everyone enjoy the clicking pen?
Sorry, I didn't know I was doing that. I'd thrown the pen away. I didn't know I was doing it. All we've talked about all day off air at every moment is Succession. No spoilers, don't worry. So I just asked there during the break, in the week that is Succession week, what is the best sports drama or show? And somebody mumbled Ted Lasso. and didn't feel good about it.
Don't look at me. I've never seen it.
No, it was the first thing that came to mind. Will's answer is my real answer.
Well, it's very much of the day, Ted Lasso. I mean, it's number one on Apple, and people are talking. I'm watching it week on week.
It's fine.
It's got heart, but I mean, it's the most
football in the groin had a football in the groin.
It's the most transparent, thin thing you'll see. You know,
It's not a nice, easy watch though. It's comedy with a bit of.
it's funny. I saw an Instagram reel the other day. I'm so back addicted to my phone. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the Nokia's gone, isn't it?
I can't have to get
You
back
want to
to
waste
it
them
again.
50 quid that was?
No, I still have it. I walk by it every day and I say, I'll be back, buddy.
See you after the second child.
But I saw an Instagram reel saying, what's the best TV show I can watch when I'm on my phone? And I think Ted Lasso might be that show. The kind of show you watch on your phone.
yeah.
Doesn't need
I don't
to
think
be
I've ever
on
watched a
screen,
show on my
No,
phone.
it's not complex.
Watching more sport on my phone. It's annoying me.
So, sorry, what is the best?
So Friday Night Lights is what Will said. Friday Night Lights is a very good show. It's a little bit kind of like.
It's like One Tree Hill territory.
No,
isn't
there
it?
is. Yeah, I was going to say 90210. One Tree Hill might be even a better example at times, but then actually there's a lot.
I've dropped in a few times. There's not a chance it's Friday Night Lights. There's not a chance.
Dream Team.
Dream Team. It's better than Dream Team.
What are you talking about? How many series did it go over? Dream Team's probably still going out there somewhere.
Five.
About 15 too many Dream Team.
Dream Team.
Dream Team never
Or John
got
Black.
sold on physical media. I know we've all gone on to streaming now, but there was never a DVD set. Apparently the reason was because they used so much Premier League footage it was difficult to get it cleared outside of the TV.
Oh, really? What were they calling it? Harchester?
Harchester
United, the Dragons, yeah.
You don't know.
No, I did watch it. Yeah.
Were any of you at the Harchester United game here?
Against Shells, the biggest game in Irish football.
Stop. Did that happen?
Yeah, they played them in the show in the Champions League, and then they played a real match against them in Talca Park and sold the bloody place out.
They sold a lot of jerseys on the day as well.
Is it?
Harchester weren't good, but the actors played.
I haven't seen Ballers.
No, I haven't seen that
okay,
either.
Johnson.
It's an agent
It
thing,
looks-
I suppose, really, isn't it?
Again, fast foody rubbish.
Yeah, it's a little bit flashy. If you like The Rock, you're going to like Ballers because you'll be drawn in by his charisma and he's by far the main character.
I take him or leave him at this stage.
There you go. Then you're not going to enjoy it. It's all right.
There must be something good.
Sports Night was pretty good. Aaron Sorkin's initial thing, it was basically like an ESPN kind of like Sports Centre style thing, but behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, it was like a sitcom-ish / drama. It was a good show.
You could bend the rules here, Joe, and you could go ESPN 30 for 30 or something like that.
No, I'm
That's
strictly.
drama.
This
Or
is
The Last Dance
the
or
week
whatever.
of Succession.
Friday Night Lights is good. It is a good
go
show.
away.
It is.
No.
Saps.
What do you say?
It's just saps.
Okay.
So we've had morons who didn't watch Sopranos, now saps who watch Friday Night Lights.
Normal people. It was about Gaelic football, wasn't it?
That's true, and that's probably one of the biggest now. Never seen it.
Have you
Of
not
course, the
seen
book's
it?
about soccer.
Never saw it.
Book is about soccer.
Yeah. Sligo, you know.
But I think,
Football town.
to be fair, I suspect they may have said, hang on, you played for Kildare underage? Well, maybe this will be a more realistic scene.
Yeah.
The Gaelic scenes in it were fantastic.
I never saw the show.
Did you not?
No, I watched the book. I read the book. I didn't see
The
the show.
TV show is exceptionally good.
I heard it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Just never got around to it.
I'd really recommend it. Yeah.
The two leads are amazing.
Amazing, aren't they?
Got a
what's-
recommendation there from people. I didn't hear him.
No, you
Winning
stop.
Time.
No,
the
that's
Magic,
useless,
the Lakers story thing that's out there last year.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't watch it, but it looked good, the bits and pieces that I saw.
Joe Brolly was writing about it.
Magic Johnson and Pat Riley and all that. Yeah, it
I
looked
think he
pretty
might
good.
have been doing a documentary about Magic Johnson on
Yeah,
stage.
there's a documentary as well.
Another one.
No,
about
this
Russell.
is a dramatised
Docuseries.
version. Yeah.
John C. Reilly's in it, isn't he?
No, not a docuseries. It's a
A genuine drama.
drama.
Oh, yeah.
It's, actors, like, yeah.
Did you rate the book Normal People?
Yeah, I thought it was good, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Like, if it wasn't such a runaway success, I'm not sure I'd even remember it now. It was like a novel I read 4 years ago, you know, but I thought it was good. I enjoyed it while I was reading it, yeah.
Yeah. No, me too. Daisy Edgar Jones, is there?
Yeah.
That's correct, yeah.
So she was amazing. And I have to be honest, the second you saw Paul Mescal in that show, I do remember thinking, oh my God, this guy's going to take over the world.
The last 2 or 3 episodes, he's amazing.
Amazing. I'd seen him in a play just a month or two before Normal People came out. So I didn't know him from Adam. He was in the Gaiety in... I'll get you the name anyway. It was like one of these Martin McDonagh type plays set out in the west of Ireland, and 1920s kind of territory, and he was
could be
like,
any of his
I know,
It sounds like it's all of his place.
he was an IRA madman, like loud and big, and the opposite to what he is in normal people. And we all came away going, geez, your man was very good. And we all said, you'd feel sorry for him now, like just hammering away there in the Gaiety, and will we ever see him again?
That he's nominated for an Oscar.
Isn't it something else?
Yeah. For by the way, for a film that like nobody would have ever seen.
No.
Only for like an independent Scottish film. Like that's how good his performance was. He got nominated for an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. It's a Paul Mescal tangent we weren't expecting.
Oh, I talk about him all night now.
Yeah, good
Big
Kildare
fan.
man, the share.
Listen, his dad taught me in school.
Oh.
There you go.
I'll move on. I'm sensing the room is keen for me to stop talking
No,
now.
not necessarily. Just I suppose. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm doing what the initial emailer said. I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to just hold back from the full-on tangent. You know.
Yeah, you're trying to rein
I don't
me
know
in.
why I'm doing it. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
It's
Joe
not
Right,
used
that's
to in
what
me.
the best teacher he's ever had, and we stopped him.
I read the initial email. I thought he's dead right.
What did he teach you?
Let's tangent away here.
What did he teach you?
Oh, I was in 5th class, so everything.
All right. Okay. There you go.
Was good man to play a tune as well. Say like the performing genes came from
There you
dad.
go.
I would
He was
think.
in my sister's class in school, or not class, year, school a couple of years ahead of her. He was in the school play with her.
Ireland's so small.
Paul, this is not his dad.
This Oscar, this Oscar nominee, Globe
Yeah.
star now, and there are 2 of us in a room, and like, oh, yeah, I know.
I think
Oh,
they were.
you
I
two
think
degrees
he was.
separation.
I would have went to the school play that he was like head of. Now I wouldn't have had a clue. I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
But I would have been at it when he was like lead in the school play. And
Tomato number 3 was very good, I thought, said Mick.
I remember him as a footballer. I think he was a wing back on that Kildare minor team.
Yeah, well,
very good.
the gas scenes were so good. So sorry, to wind in the tangent, the best sports drama show series, we got nothing here. Ted Lasso is about the best anyone managed.
Well, that's like
Dream Team's better than that, surely.
I put Friday
no.
Night Lights across, and you just disparaged it.
Dick Moran used to go to Greystones games in Glenroe. Does that count?
Good morning.
Used to wear his green and white scarf and go to Greystones games.
I haven't heard
The
the name
AIL.
Dick Moran from Glenroe in a long time.
Greystones were Division 1 back then, though. You know.
Jeez.
Oh, God. Does that count?
You've now started an argument over his Glenroe, even in the top Irish TV shows.
Oh, jeez.
All right. No. Pete, don't go to break.
We've got the thumbnail sorted with Dick.
Okay, I'm back. Dara has sent in an email. Question for Joe and the lads for the tangent.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. Which referee? So last week, I don't know, your man who says order all the time came up. Which referee from any sport would you get to keep control in Westminster Parliament when order cannot be maintained? Nigel Owens, Clattenburg, Colina, Mike Dean, international super referee Jan Verhouse. Interested to hear your thoughts. Cheers, Dara. Dara, I say this with love. I just do not care about referees.
No.
I just don't get those people who are so into it. And it's your man. He's reffing this weekend.
Yeah.
Like even in rugby where it has such a tangible effect on the game, I really don't care. I find it very hard to. And do you know what I hate the most? Like he has Clattenburg there, like the celebrity referees,
yeah.
they can all just disappear.
Yeah, not in real life, but
Oh no.
yeah.
Like long and healthy lives and
yeah.
everything. But honestly, I don't get the interest in them, and they're never interesting.
I think Arthur and I can feel on this one. We've been on the crappy quiz a couple of weeks where a referee round comes up and straight away I just go,
Oh, Arthur hates them.
I think it's for people who don't like sport.
Okay, can I this is a mea culpa. This isn't a defense of it, right? Okay, because we do pieces, we get texts, we read articles. We have to stop the culture of criticising referees. People aren't becoming refs anymore. They're key to sport, blah, blah, blah. I agree with every single morsel of that idea, right? There isn't a bit of it that I don't agree with. I think I'm addicted to it. I really do. I can't help it. If I'm watching sport 5 minutes into the match, like, I'll be just like, oh, this ref is... And I'll be like... And then by 6 minutes, I'll have myself convinced. No, this one is real. This one I'm actually. And
'Cause I do notice you come in on a Monday often, and there's a referee section in the, as we're just off air. I mean,
in
just
our chats about the weekend sport.
I zone out.
Really, no matter what, like though, there's such a key. Just to explain it though, do you not think a referee and how a referee interprets a game is such a key cog in a key part of what makes a game? And it's like, it's, as much as it's unfair on them because everybody makes mistakes and nobody criticises the referee's mistakes. Do you understand the supporters' frustration? Surely, and you must have it yourself, because it's a competition between two teams, but a referee falls a certain way or makes a certain mistake that influences that competition in a way that nobody else can, you know?
I get it, but he or she doing their best, everybody in the pitch making just as many mistakes, and I just like to control the controllables.
Yeah, well, okay, right. No, but I honestly I hate it in myself, and I can't help it. Like, I mean, honestly, we were like 5 minutes into the Clare Waterford game. I was watching it in a pub in Spain. Everything was great, and there was like a free given for nothing in my head that they don't show replay for, which is all part of the conspiracy, by the way. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, here we go, another one of these refs, and I'm just like, I'm annoyed at myself.
My sense to watch with.
My sense of like how tiresome that is I doubt he's that bad, the referee. You know, I doubt. Oh yeah,
I can never convince you as an actual, even like the really bad ones, because you just hear it all the time from me. I completely, like, again, I understand all of this.
I talk about it if there's a really big decision, and I think their effect on the game is massive.
I think if Munster, like Munster and Stormers, like, I mean, that referee was really poor, and all the decisions seemed to go against Munster. And look, I mean, that's been verified, I suppose, by analytical article. Somebody wrote a piece. I can't remember who it was. Apologies, but that was the instinct watching the game, and it was just really annoying. But at the same time, it was like, whatever, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But I understand that now. But I just, as I said, I'm coming to this from a point of being self-critical as opposed to defending it. In the moment, I just can't help it.
Right. But like this business of Nigel Owens, like celebrity referee, I
like Nigel Owens though.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. He's like being,
he's ideal for what
Clattenburg, I think you were more on the money for.
Owens would enjoy doing the Speaker of the House thing. He's perfect for what's just been suggested.
Yeah. I mean, you've really engaged with that there.
Well, you know,
kind of disregarded it.
He's named out 3 or 4. That emailer has named out 3 or 4 people who would work for it.
So, like, if I was to say, so I don't have an answer to this question. Like, who are the 3 best soccer referees? Would you kind of? I've thoughts on this, and I really am into that.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know who'd be good? Dermot Gallagher.
Will you stop going back to the question?
Dermot Gallagher with his Ringsend accent.
Sorry, this is about which referee could control Westminster.
Good grief.
We're not talking about this.
Have they got a whistle?
Well, no, what I want to happen is I want everyone who's watched Dermot in the UK for 10, 15 years now doing Ref Watch, and for him to bust out his Dublin accent as a Speaker in Parliament.
Yeah.
And they'll all say, who's that man? And
why is he dressed like a referee?
There you go.
No, I don't know.
I'm with you, Joe.
You like Ref Watch show?
No.
Okay, because that is the worst segment on television.
No.
Stephen Warnock and Dermot Gallagher.
I like Stephen Warnock
and Germain.
Stephen Warnock's an underrated.
All of those people individually are fine.
Dermot Gallagher's
is an abomination.
Dermot Gallagher's a friend of the show.
Yeah, only when he speaks in his Irish accent.
Which he does on the show.
Yeah.
Rob Wootton tries to wind him up as well.
Rob Wootton, that's your man's
deliberately
name.
He tries to poke, because otherwise
Gallagher's never disagreed with a referee in his life.
Rob Wootton needs an education. Wasn't it Rob Wootton who did that with Chloe Mustaki?
It was.
That was what that reference was. Sorry. He doesn't actually need an education. Sorry, Rob. Don't mean it that way. Does anyone have, as I move on, a favourite referee?
no.
Kalina was kind of cool back in the day.
Yeah, Kalina, yeah.
Like there's ones you see that you're like, they're familiar.
Who's the best GAA referee?
I liked Fergal Horgan before he went.
See, if Fergal Horgan walked in here in a referee's uniform, I wouldn't know him from Adam. I'd recognise Pat McEnany, and that might be it.
Yeah, I'd recognise David Goff.
I'd recognise David Goff.
Probably recognise Goldrick, wouldn't you, as well, I would say?
No,
maybe not
I wouldn't bet
necessarily.
my life in it.
Yeah. I probably know all the hurling referees, unfortunately.
Hurling people are obsessed with the referees. Who's the referee they love because he never blows a foul?
John Keenan.
Well, one time, John.
No,
Keane
who's the one that
did-
gets the whenever he gets an All-Ireland final, they're all like, oh
Well,
yes.
probably Brian Gavin on that one as well. He used to let things.
Gavin.
No,
flow.
Fergal Horgan would let things slow as well, wouldn't he? Yeah, all the good ones would. Yeah.
Basically, to be a good referee in Ireland,
Throw the
you just
ball
pull
in.
a Brian Cody.
There is a brilliant thing in the referee. The whole let flow thing is nonsense. Really, they all ref the same way. What I do notice is
No,
that
they don't.
They don't.
They don't. You know they don't.
more or less, like
Then why you
I
know about
remember
them every week?
Watching that
I'm
Limerick.
an
Waterford.
idiot. I just already said
I
that.
think give my team a free.
I do enjoy when it's like there isn't the foul and it's like very much a kind of almost performative play on, and that's free reign. You have free reign for 10 seconds then, because there isn't going to be a foul in the next few plays either. I love that part of hurling. It's like an unwritten rule.
It's great refereeing. The head hits is that's going to make her refereeing in hurling very interesting now.
Yeah, but I think they're all on board with that. I wouldn't have a concern as long as the GA are strong on it. I wouldn't have a concern that referees will take that responsibility seriously. Like,
Just in rugby, it can be quite difficult. Did the shoulder catch the head or not? And without the benefit of replays, it gets sticky then.
yeah, generally you see a face mask on flying up into the air or something like that when it happens in hurling. You know, it's just I think the helmet kind of almost makes
we've
it
seen
clearer.
a few Redsmith in recent weeks. In the McDonagh Cup final at the weekend, we had a face guard pull, which was punished with a red card as well. That seemed to have gone away for a good while, but definitely head contact there watching. They're not all been given, but it's in focus at the moment.
Yeah. JP's in touch. Hi lads, I regularly share articles on the lads WhatsApp group re Manchester City's charges, fines dished out to these state-owned clubs for cheating and why they own teams, golf leagues, host events, etc. I like to keep informed on these matters and believe everyone should. However, over the course of the last year, I am met with yawn emojis or accusations of jealousy at some of the football team's success. These are smart people, well-educated people, but they just don't care. This is exactly what these regimes want. I fear this is the general public's view too. What do you guys think? Maybe I'm just having a moan. Love the show and the segment, says JP. JP, I think your WhatsApp group is entirely representative of everybody at this stage. Yawn and bored emojis, and everybody's just so sick of it. Everyone's sick of listening to people talk about it. We're sick of talking about it. There's nothing we can do. It's just happening. So I think the general public, to your question, are very bored, and there's a degree of that is life, get on with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's an indictment of like the world we live in, the 24-hour news cycle and everything
I would disagree with that sort of, because I just sort of think in the grand scheme of things, like what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims in China as like one of a gazillion examples which are way more serious than the sports team sports washing thing. People just only have so much time to get on with their lives. Are they going to keep their jobs? Are they going to get a promotion? Did they pick up the kids? Is dinner made? Oh my God, I need to exercise. I'm so tired. Can't believe how fast time is going. Oh God, the car's broken down. Like, to be worrying in a sincere way about Newcastle or Live Golf and so on, their sport is their recreation. I kind of don't. I don't think it's an indictment to people. I just think it's a reality of life that there's so much coming at us.
I didn't say it was an indictment to people. I said it's an indictment of the way society is at the moment, that these things are, we hear so much of something. Like, I don't mean they should be worrying about it. It's not affecting their lives, but if you're going to be engaging with the Premier League and saying how great Man City are, know that they're doing it allegedly by ill-gotten means.
Yeah.
Understand that about it. There's no, and by the way, or don't just dismiss it as I'm sick of that story now, I've heard it a few times. Do you know, that's what I'm saying. It's not about worrying about it, and it's by the way, it's no individual's fault. It's because we're in a world where this is what happens. We hear things so many times that we just say, I couldn't be bothered hearing that anymore, let's just let things be the way they are. I don't listen. Donald Trump's a liar. Oh, is he? Right, okay, that's interesting. What did he lie about? Here's the 50 things he lied about. Right, okay, the next time Donald Trump lies, Donald Trump's a liar. Yeah, I already know that. Like, I mean, what do you want me to do about it at this stage? And it's just, I'm bored by truth, I'm bored by facts, I'm bored by whatever, so I think that's and by the way, that's not to say that I'm above it or anything. I absolutely share it. We all do. This is just the way it is. But it's not great. It's not great that we would just say, do you know what? Whatever. I'm sick of talking about that Man City story. Let's just celebrate the fact that they're a really good football team.
WhatsApp feels the wrong format too. I would feel it would be a bit preachy if someone was putting in links to articles into a WhatsApp group. WhatsApp groups are for gifs and funny things that you've seen around the internet and for nonsense talk.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of WhatsApp group are you in, even if it is with smart people that you're going, let's discuss the 115 charges against Manchester City this afternoon.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, good on you,
place to put
JP.
it.
It's brave move. I think most WhatsApp groups you'd be told, here, go on.
You'd probably be muted.
I'd be the one saying it as well for all me. Like, I'm not preaching here. I'm saying that this is just the way things are, you know. But like, I mean, are we bored by it? There's a part of me that's like fascinated by it as well and wants to know all the details. But at the same time, it's like I kind of am a little bit bored of like every time we mention, like, oh, Eddie Howe's done a great job, and there's like, oh, but Newcastle Saudi owned, you know. It's like, right, okay,
Yeah. It's just hard to say anything new about it.
yeah. But we don't always have to say new things.
I know, but then it's just hard to keep repeating yourself every night.
It's just hard, Joe.
Yeah. Tired. Where are you? What are your interest levels in it, Arthur?
I'd be interested in it, but it's just hard when there's not much new developments to get stuck into it. It's kind of, but you kind of just, I don't know. Like, there's not many. I wouldn't encounter many people now who'd be willingly blind to the fact that there's a kind of just a shift to how you see it. Like, it's not, I don't necessarily even think it's an active thing. It's I think there's a certain value in just those things getting out there, and it kind of just puts you know, once it's out there, it kind of influences you, even if you're not necessarily engaged with it all the time. You are aware there's something.
I do think everybody is very aware,
Yeah, so I think that's success. There's only so much that can be done.
and everybody can see what's happening because it's very transparent. So I think what you kind of realise is that, you know, the sports washing term is redundant, because the experience with Live Golf or Newcastle or any of these acquisitions would suggest, well, or the Qatar World Cup being the best example. Nobody knew anything about Qatar 6 years ago, and now everybody can give you chapter and verse on Qatar and all their ills. So it's actually, you're not washing your reputation in the slightest. You're just flexing. You're just exercising power in the world.
Yeah,
so it's actually not increasing the popularity at all. That's not what they're doing.
You're normalising it as well, though, because I think people will get over that stuff, and now Qatar are a lot more famous and a lot more well known, and when they come to invest in something like Manchester United, it's a little bit more, well, you know, like the World Cup was there, not too bad,
Funny,
you know.
I think if there'd been no World Cup and a Qatari group had come along to invest in United, none of us would be as, oh, that's not good, because we wouldn't know as much about Qatar.
Okay. Yeah.
I still think it'd be picked up on pretty quickly.
Eventually it would, but that's why when you, either way, whether it's the World Cup or via Manchester United, when you step into the public arena, you're not washing your reputation. If anything, you're going to be under more scrutiny, but they don't care. Like, that's not that is not the point. Sports washing was the most it misled the public into what they're doing. It's like Millwall. You don't like us, we don't care. This is how powerful we are, and we're major players on the world scene. We've got all the money. Boris is going to come over here and bend the knee begging for oil, and we're going to buy Newcastle, and that's the deal.
Exactly like Millwall.
Sorry, Millwall.
Yeah,
That's Millwall. I meant the whole nobody likes us and we don't care.
everyone
That's all
knows
I
that,
meant.
Joe.
Okay.
On the jaded point, though, I think there is something for, like, it's all very well me getting pent up about this and sending people WhatsApps and being angry about it, but like, at some point you're like, my government doesn't care. Like, they're actually paving the way for this stuff. It's like there's maybe the Premier League or are my club that I support, are they against it, or are they happy to take it if it comes to their way? At some point you're kind of going like, nobody with money or power is in any way doing anything to stop this. The system is broken and I'm not going to fix it, so I may as well just get on with it if I want to still like football.
There was a Freedom of Information Act, and basically the Saudis and the UK had agreed a trade deal for the decade 2018 to 2028, and at risk, and it was in the emails between the Home Office and the Saudi embassy, was £30 billion sterling of investment in the UK economy from the Saudis.
Yeah, the stagnant, almost dead UK economy.
Exactly. Now, so Boris and the emails back and forth were, the biggest risk to this 30 billion is actually this Newcastle takeover that's in these emails under a Freedom of Information Act recently. I guarantee you, if you went out there and did a vox pop of the UK public and said, do you want 30 billion injected into the economy at the cost of Newcastle being owned by a crowd who are actually going to spend lots of money on Newcastle and run it reasonably well, dodgy as they might be, I think 6 out of 10, if not 7 out of 10 voters would say, yeah, we need the money. It's just, life. Come here, as a final thought on it, and I mean this sincerely, like, give me a genuine answer. Who were all your favourite Glenroe characters?
I didn't really watch it, to be honest with you.
Did you not?
No.
Dinny, yeah.
Dinny was my favourite by a mile.
Lee Miley, the original Irish bad boy.
Dinny was such a bowled character, though. He'd be up to all sorts.
Yeah.
Was he though, or did he just once?
Are you doing Miley there?
Yeah.
The roll in the hay. I was only one time.
Confusing the roll in the hay.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue. I don't know.
That was big news at the time.
I know it was.
I particularly enjoyed, Joe, when about half of Glenroe ended up in Alexander in 2004 as well, including Miley, who I think was selling goats or something in one of the scenes.
Oh, did they? The late great Mick Lally.
Yep.
It was a great show for a time.
It was, yeah. It was very good.
It just still brings the fear.
Bit silly
Think about
sometimes.
the end of the weekend and
I know. Where in the world? And then Glenroe.
homework not done.
I got a text here with a very, very interesting shout for best sports drama.
Oh, go on. In at the death, yeah.
The Barry's Tea ads where the GA lad, this is the direct text, those Barry Tea ads when the GA lad went over to the manager's house thinking he was going to get dropped, but he was actually being made captain.
It's the best humanity has been able to create.
It was brilliant, in fairness. It wasn't as good as the Barry's Tea ad where it was, I was no beauty, but I was beautiful that day.
Well, I can't remember the story behind that one. I remember the line.
Was that Dad? No, it was
Someone else. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. God. So we've had nothing on the sports TV shows. There's actually a dearth of them.
Not TV shows.
Yeah, we should
Suppose there's a
write
lot of good
one.
films.
Oh, sports movies, we'd be here all night. But
No, me, you, Jesse Armstrong, we'll get in a room.
God.
And we'll write.
Honestly, I would say the Succession podcast, the official one. Usually the official ones are duds, but I would just so recommend the Succession podcast if you haven't listened to them.
No, they're really good, and the fact they get the actors and generally either a director or Jesse on every episode is just fantastic.
Jesse Armstrong's so smart.
Yeah, that's why you should write the definitive Premier League drama.
There's obviously a gap in the market here. Like Ted Lasso, which we're all saying is, grand and is like the runaway success.
Arthur's standing over Dream Team. Maybe that's already the definitive Premier League.
I'm just saying, like, a long old run.
I mean, a lot of things had a long old run.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Carl Fletcher's ghost was in an episode of Dream Team, I think, yeah. So
Lads.
Martin in Portobello was recommending the Kevin Moran documentary last night on RTE. We didn't see it, we were all in here, but
Watch the
we
Succession.
should talk about it again, maybe.
Let's
Kevin
talk
Moran,
about it next
such
week,
an
yeah.
interesting man.
Yeah.
Interesting
insane.
career.
Fellas, we are done for another week. Who knows when we'll be back? Will, thank you very much. Michael, thank you. Arthur, thanks very much. That
Cheers,
was
Joe.
a slight
Cheers, Joe.
tangent.